Hello everyone, welcome back again with the new video. In the last video, we have seen how to create the channel artifacts for channel creation. Okay, so that was the third step for the network creation. Now in this video, we're going to cover how to create all the services and which are the services we need to have in our network. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, as per the network topology, we have two orderers, two peer orderers like organization 1, organization 2, and one is the order organization. Okay, each peer organization have one peer, that is a peer 0. Organization 1, peer 0, organization 2. For order organization, we have total 3 orderers. Alright, so each peer is storing their current state database in the CouchDB. So that's why we require one more container here, that is the CouchDB. Here also we require the same CouchDB in the peer. In the orderer, we do not have any kind of CouchDB because the orderer will never store the current state data. So they will have the chain of the blocks only. That's it. Okay, that is one more service. This Ledger. This CouchDB would be one additional service we require. Smart contract. Okay, for execution of the transactions, we require smart contract. And if we are making any peer as an endorsing peer, then in that case, we need to install the smart contract. Without that, we can't declare that peer as the endorsing peer. Okay, so peer 0 from the organization is the endorsing peer. Peer 0 from organization 2 is again the endorsing peer. Don't get confused. Here we can have any number of peers, but just for making a simplicity, we have only one peer. Even with 3 or 4 peer also we can manage the same things. But yeah, the procedure would be straightforward. I will let you know how to change the configuration of the network, like 3 peer per organization, 4 peer per organizations. Okay, one API server certificate authority. Okay, for each organization we require one certificate authority, which is not shown here, but yeah, just consider these are the different services. Certificate authority we already have up and running, because for 3 organizations we already created 3 certificate authority, and we created the crypto material as well. So those services are already running. Now we require peer 0 from organization 1, peer 0 from organization 2, CouchDB for this peer, CouchDB again for this peer in the organization 1. 3 ordering services. Okay, these are the services we require right away. So let's jump onto the VS Code and let's see the configuration of the different services. Okay, here is one file, Docker Compose. Okay, from the top to bottom, let's go ahead. At the top, we can see here 3 different orders are defined: order 1, order 2, and order 3. Okay, let me just minimize all the services so we will go through one by one. All right. Okay. At the top, first service is the orderer service. So right now we are using 2.5.0, but yeah, that is the latest LTS version right now we have. And from this version only, the system channel got removed and only application channels are there. So make sure you are also using the same image. As per the documentation we have, I'm already providing the appropriate. So you just need to get the same things what we are doing here. Okay, there are a lot of environmental variables. Again, we will have a dedicated sections actually to discuss on this. But for right now, I will just give a information. Fabric logging information is the information, so it will just print the informational log. If we make it debug, so it will just give lot of informations, even warnings and everything. And if you want limited information, you can make it info. Okay, order listen address, local MSP ID. What is the MSP ID for this orderer? So for all the 3 orderer, the MSP ID would be same, orderer MSP, because in the channel configuration block, we have specified orderer MSP. Next, these environmental variables are responsible for TLS communication with the orderer or within the orderer as well. Okay, orderer general TLS enabled true. It's a private key and the certificate for having this communication. Okay, and cluster TLS certificates, public and the private key. Okay, these are the two different communication happens. One is for the general purpose TLS and second is for the cluster, because these three orderers will be communicating with each other using this kind of cluster configuration. Another one thing, order a general bootstrap method none. Previously, we used to have in the Fabric version 2.2, 2.0, but before 2.3 they have removed this because bootstrapping we are not using actually. The Genesis block we used to have, but in the Fabric 2.5 it is not there right now. Channel participation enabled, true. Okay, so these are the different environmental variables we have to provide. Order admin TLS certificate, private key, public key, where exactly it is there. So we providing at all the information, and this orderer is currently listening on this 7050 port internally. Okay, order admin listen address and other things is the orderer operation listen address. Okay, working directory is root, command is the orderer, so it will just start the ordering service. And these are the port we have exposed. Later on I will let you know the purpose of each of them, but right now just consider 7050 is the internal port, and the left side 7050 is also exported port on this machine. Okay, for orderer 2 also, let me just show you. The port would be different. 8050 is the exposed port outside, but internal port again the same one. Okay, one more thing in the volumes, we can see for starting this orderer, we require some kind of certificate. First one is the endowment certificate, second one is the TLS certificate. So in the crypto config, we already created crypto material for all the participants into the network. So that's why we have to mount this path inside the orderer here, /channel crypto config order organization example.com orderers orderer.example.com MSP. Okay, so we are just mounting this MSP to the internal /var hyperledger order MSP, so it will be available now. So this is getting used somewhere /var hyperledger. You can see here these certificates are getting used for the TLS communication only internally. So that's why we have to map this TLS and the MSP. For creation of the block, it orderer needs to sign that block actually. At the bottom there would be a signature. For that purpose this MSP certificate, private key will get used, and for the TLS communication this public key private key will get used. Okay, this is the general configuration for any kind of the orderer. Orderer, for first orderer we have already gone through it. For second orderer there would be only minor change, that is we will be mounting different volumes and some additional parts like this port we exposed outside is different because in on the single machines we can have only one service running on some specific port. We cannot have multiple. That's why I exposed 8050 for the orderer 2, and internal ports are same only, so we don't need to worry. For the orderer 3 as well, we have the exactly same thing. The only difference will be the exposed port, and since certificate mapping also will have a different. Okay, all right. So what is the next step? Peer are the responsible for holding the ledger and holding the smart contract. Peer are actually representing the organization. Organization is just a logical part, but peer actually is representing. It's a service which is representing the organization and doing some kind of operations. Okay. So when we're talking about the organizations or peer, we can just consider these are the same thing only. But in case if we wanted to have multiple peer, so in that case we need to specify peer 0, peer 1, peer 2, because those peer could be part of different kind of channels. Okay. So again the same configuration, we are using some specific image that is 2.5.0. Okay, these are the environmental variables, some important variables we require actually. These are the basic one we need to have. For TLS communication, we can see at the bottom here, core peer TLS cert file, core peer TLS key file, and root cert file. So when this peer communicate with each other, so they generally do this communication in secure way using TLS certificates. And we already created for all the peer 2 type of the certificate. First one is the enrollment, second one is the TLS certificate. This TLS certificate we are mapping. Okay, the volumes we can see we are mapping already, and we are utilizing as well that part for the TLS communication. One more thing I wanted to make sure on the CouchDB. So there are two ways to store the current state database in the Hyperledger Fabric. First one is the level DB and second one is the CouchDB. So level DB is just a key value pair. It also have some capabilities, but it do not provide some complex queries and all. So that's why we will be using CouchDB for storing the current state database. Even we can visualize as well that part, and how to use these complex queries, indexings and all, I will let you know, because we are going to do this practical demonstration in the one of the video. Okay, so here core ledger state database is the CouchDB. We are explicitly mentioning we wanted to store current state data on the CouchDB. Core ledger state CouchDB config address. Okay, CouchDB 0 5984. This is the address where CouchDB is running. At the top, I will show you just a moment. We have to provide the username and the password. Okay, admin and admin PW are the username and the password. But this is just hard coded. It is not the way how we should put confidential data like a password, username. So make sure you do this kind of files in the environmental variables and just ingest on the fly into the container. Okay, this CouchDB 0, let's see it. Okay, here we have defined the CouchDB 0, which is using CouchDB 3.1.1. Environmental variables are the username and the password, and this is the port. Okay, default configuration we are providing. This CouchDB is used for peer 0 organization 1.example.com. Okay, and it is this peer is running on some specific port. Okay, and for peer 0 organization 2 as well, the same thing, only difference would be the CouchDB 1. Okay, CouchDB 1 would be required. So you can see there is a CouchDB 2 which is redundant. Actually, I missed to remove this, but just consider this, just you can neglect this actually. Okay, for peer 0 and peer 1. For peer 0 from organization 1, peer 0 from organization 2. So totally we already have 3 orderers, orderer 2, orderer 3, 2 CouchDB. I will remove this later on. Some peer, 2 peers. Okay. Total, how many services are there? 7 services are there. Okay, within this Docker Compose file itself. Right now, we have to run these all the services because these services are required to create the channels and everything. So channel creation will happen on this network, and these services will be responsible for that. So let me just run all these services here. Running all the services and checking the logs and how they are communicating with each other, that part we will see in the next video. So channel creation, chain code deployment and transaction invocation, these are the 3 steps remaining. So after this step, we are going to execute these steps one by one, and these logs of each and every file, how these orderers are communicating with each other, we will see in the next part. That's it for this video. Thank you.